my first guest ever, Miss Amanda Fasciano. What's been new with you?
Not much. I mean, my yesterday was a lot calmer than your yesterday. It was just, we do the usual Tabletop Misfits game day on Saturdays. So we were playing games with friends. Other than that, I've been working on getting my books in for Horseman Publishing.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Okay. This is like the coolest thing. Okay. So
I'm super excited. I'm sorry.
Okay. When did you publish your first book?
I self-published starting August, I think it was 22nd, 2016.
Oh, wow. That long ago. I didn't realize
Yeah.
it was that long ago.
Yeah.
Because you and I didn't meet until February of 2018, I think.
Yep. Yeah. No, my book had been out for a couple of years then.
So okay. So you wrote your first book. So you took a while before you wrote your second book then?
It took a while to get everything perfect enough that I was happy with it. I was already happy with the story of it, but I wanted to make sure I had the right amount of action versus story building versus character building and all that other stuff in the second book. And I also, a lot of it, as you know, with self-publishing is money. I had to have the money to send it to an editor because I wasn't going to put it out there just on my own and go, oh, my stuff's perfect. I know I'm a comma abuser, and I know I probably have things that need a semicolon here or a colon there or the wrong whatever. And there are typos that I've caught afterwards that after having gone through editing and 3 or 4 rounds of doing it myself and then sending it to Gail Mattson, who'd been my editor when I was self-publishing. And there is still stuff that both of us missed. So, and one of my friends would be like, I don't think you meant that. And I'm like, oh, crud. But, this is giving me a chance to fix that. And then they're going to go through and do the line editing. And then that goes to quality control before it comes back to me. So this is going to be like the most perfect version of these books that I'm going to get probably.
That's pretty awesome. So tell us about the Life After series and your first book.
Okay. The Life After series is, the whole premise is kind of an X-Files meets Ghost Adventures, but from the ghost's perspective. It's the main character is already dead. So there isn't as much tension about whether or not they're going to die because they're already there. But there are a couple of different ways they can go permanently, nothing left. So there is that element of danger more than you would think. But again, it's kind of, there's an afterlife job if you want it. And you can have, if you're good at being a police detective, like my main character is, that's what she got offered. Or you can move on. You have your choice. You can go to whatever afterlife your own ideology, theology, leads to. Versus,
that's pretty cool.
Thanks. But a lot of it came from a dream and a what if question after watching, I think it was an episode of Ghost Adventures, of, they only get a little snippet or see a little shadow out of the corner of their eye. And well, what if there's somebody making sure they don't get all the answers, making sure they don't get too much evidence? And so that's what the police force on the other side is about. And then, unfortunately, or fortunately for the reader, Cadence and her new partner, Snow, end up getting drawn into something that is far more far-reaching than they thought it was. A chance one-off encounter with a cult that summons a chaos demon leads them to have to break the rules as far as talking to the breathers, the humans, and it gets them involved with a ghost hunting group, which is cool. That's thank you. That's really against the rules, and Snow's really not a fan of it. But you've got to do what you have to do to try to save both human and spirit lives. So, and then
So
it
you
just
you
goes
said
from
part
there.
of it came from a dream you had.
Yes,
So
yes.
what was the dream?
The dream actually was the majority of the second book. The first book is setting up the main character, so you get to know her and you get to know her partner. The dream that it was based off of is actually mostly the second book, which is set in the brothers' college dorm. Cadence's book, yes, Dead
Yeah,
Vessel.
yeah, that's your old cover, your self-published cover, because we don't know what the new covers are going to look like, right?
No, we don't know that yet. I don't have those yet. I'm looking forward to seeing what's coming up. But Dead
And
Vessel is,
this one's your first book there.
yeah, that's Waking Up Dead. And then Dead Vessel takes place mostly in her brother's college dorm where Sam was killed. And Sam was the victim of a massacre. There was quite a few people killed at that dorm one day. And all of a sudden, the crux of this book is there's a new spirit that shows up because things are being renovated. They're going to open the college dorm again. It's been closed for the last 10 years because of the massacre, because really, who wants to go there?
Right.
And the spirit shows up, and it was a student who was there they lived there when the massacre happened. However, they weren't killed. They weren't in the house at the time of the massacre. And he remembers up to like the day before the massacre. And then he doesn't remember anything. He still thinks it's 10 years ago. So they're trying to figure it out, and they find out this guy's still alive and he's on the board of the college, which is a little suspicious. So, and there's more history to the house that you find out. So, with all of that, it kind of weaves together into a very dangerous end that I'm not going to give away.
No, and nor should you. So the dream was about a college. Is that was
It was, I had in the dream, Cadence was there trying to help her brother, and it was about Sam and the Victorian dorm house and one of the difficult ghosts that was already there. Um, and then um, the rest of it was the end part that I'm not getting into.
right, right. So did you like when you woke up? Did you write everything down,
I
or
did.
did you just remember? You had that. Does that happen a lot? Do you get ideas from dreams? So sometimes I do. I much more when I was younger, but
Hmm. I do. And I'll write them down. And then a month later, I'll look at it and go, what was I smoking? But, you know, sometimes they end up being better than I thought they were, and I can actually morph it into something that works with the story.
so I've been to some shows with you. We used to have tables together before
Oh
the
yeah,
whole big thing hit,
yeah.
and and I would see you have like this big giant like notebook that you keep with you with all
Yes.
your ideas. So do you plan everything out from like start to finish? What's your process in doing a book?
My process in doing a book is I will take the idea and I kind of see what I can work with it, and maybe I'll pull in a couple of other ideas that I've written down and be like, okay, well, I can make these three different things work together if I do this, this, and this. And if it works well enough, then I'll start outlining. And I'll do just a general, okay, I want this beat, I want this beat, I want this beat. And then I'll go into a slightly more in depth of, okay, chapter 1, this happens. Chapter 2, this and this happens. Chapter 3, this and this happens. Um, and then from there, I start writing. I don't do major outlines, but if it's mainly beats and how I want things divided. And if there's any particular phrase or turn of dialogue that I want or a specific description, I'll put it in there just so I don't forget it.
Yeah, yeah. With me, it's just like I'll think of something, I'll write it down on a napkin, I'll write it down on an envelope.
And then I lose the
And then
envelope.
you come along and you have like this big book of like ideas and planning, and mine's just like, oh, here, I know I've got this scrap here somewhere that has my first 3 chapters like written down while I was in the middle of ordering breakfast at McDonald's.
Yep. See, the thing is, I've done that and then I lose them. I lose the receipts, I lose the envelopes, and I'll find them like 3 years later. What the heck was that? And so that's why I got that journal. That's why I have my little notebooks. I'm like this notebook collector. And it's just like, no, I'm writing all of this down and I will have this notebook. And occasionally, unfortunately, I lose the notebooks too. But nobody's perfect.
So now you've had how many books so far in this series?
I have self-published 4, and I was almost done with 5 when a friend of mine messaged me and said, "Hey, you should look into this publisher. They do specifically series." So
tell me about that, because this is why I wanted you to be my first guest, because the coolest things just happen, you know. So let's hear it.
I have wanted to be a traditionally published author since I was 11. I mean, that was my life dream job. Always has been. So Amanda Bird, one of my friends, said, she actually got a contract with them as well. And she's like, you really should look into them. They're just focused on series, no one-off books. They want a series. So I looked at them and I thought about it for about a month. I kind of held off on it. And I submitted and did the whole thing. I sent them the first 3 chapters of the first book. And they're like, okay, you'll hear from us in 30 to 90 days, the usual auto reply. I heard back from them in a week. And they said, we love what we're seeing. We'd like to talk to you about a contract. So I immediately, and I got that email at work, so I had to not scream, but scream. I was like, oh my God, I gotta be quiet. Oh and
Oh man,
I
that's
was
so cool
so excited. I finally got home and I was like, okay, everybody go to your rooms, cover your ears, because I have to scream.
I just think that's so great.
So I had a couple meetings with them because neither one of us wanted to really rush anything. We wanted to talk about what the relationship would be like with them, what they offer, what I'm bringing to the table, how all of that's going to mesh. And it sounded really good. I got along really well with them. And I have a 5-year contract for 10 books with 4 Horsemen Publishing.
That is so awesome. That is
Yeah.
incredible. Congratulations. I am like so super proud of you, man.
Thank you. Yeah, I was so happy. And when I came out of the onboarding meeting after the contract was all signed, we had an onboarding meeting and I have release dates. So we're pushing the first 4 books out. Usually they do 2 a year, but since I come with a backlog, we're doing 3-month hops. So by January 29th of next year, the following year, 2024, the 5th book in the series will come out. But
oh wow.
yeah, so the first book is coming out under their banner January 29th, 2023. I've already got that in. The editor has done their edits. It's in quality control. Then I'll get it back. I've got a week to do it. Then it goes back to them and I won't see it again until it's ready to publish. I've already got book 2 in. I've already got book 3 in, and I'm working on book 4. So I'm way ahead of schedule.
Yeah, I saw yesterday you just got book 3 in, right?
Yeah, I got book 3 in this week. It is about 6 months ahead of schedule because that one's that wasn't due. See, first one was due September 1st. Second one was due December. Third one would have been due March. So yeah, that's almost 6 months in advance. So 4th one will be due June, and that's Dead Revelations. And then Yeah, Dead. I actually have named the 5th book, and I will give you that name. That is, I have not announced it anywhere.
You're allowed to announce it?
I'm gonna announce it. Yeah, I can
Okay,
do
go
that.
ahead. I'd
So
love it.
Dead Machinations is going to be the 5th book.
Is that the final book?
Nope, it is not going to be the final book. That's one thing that the contract has changed, because it was initially going to be the final book and I was going to be Dead Endings. But in it, I had already planned to leave a way to come back to those characters, because I adore that world. I adore those characters. They're very dear to my heart at this point. I've been working with them for 6 years.
Right.
So I had left ways to go back in, and I can't really talk about how, but in book 5, you will see how. Big tunnels right back into stories. So, and actually there's kind of a clue in book 2. Having gone back through it, I was like, I did do that there. Okay, good job.
Are you having to rewrite and change a little bit of things the way because of book 5 and the
Oh,
publishing?
a little bit. Yeah, I am. There wasn't a ton of change, at least not that I know of yet, to book 1. Maybe a little bit in book 2. Book 3 is actually going to see a lot of change. I added about 10,000 words.
Wow.
So, yeah, but I went through and it's like I get caught up in my writing. It's like trying to compose music while the orchestra is playing it 5 times faster than they should be all at once. So I'm trying to figure out, okay, wait, you had a coffee cup. No, you didn't. Hold on. And, you're not supposed to be playing it. Shut up, sit down. And, I'm trying so hard to get what I'm seeing in my head in, that I missed things I had planned despite the outlines and everything.
Yeah.
Sometimes they just run off on their own.
Yes.
And they're very bad at that.
So your characters talk to you while you're writing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm certifiably crazy. Yes.
No, it happens to me too. It'll be like where have I been for 3 hours? Oh wow, look at this.
Yeah,
Who's talking?
exactly.
Sometimes I feel like I'm channeling when I'm writing.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
You're not the only one, but yeah, no, and they run off on their own in the stories, and they're doing these other things, and then it's like, wait, what? Why are you're not supposed to be over there? You're supposed to be over there,
Right.
So I had some things I needed to fix. I had some other scenes I wanted to put in that I just had lost in the franticness of book 3, because book 3, there is a lot of stuff going on. In fact, I actually split the party. And if you've ever played D&D, that's a bad thing to do. But
It's sort of like when Scooby and Shaggy go off with and
yes,
Fred and Daphne, and then it's trouble ensues always.
exactly. Always. That was my favorite cartoon. I love them.
And
But
mine too.
yeah, it's very much that. So we have, a couple of people over here doing the prison investigation, which is the cover of the book, is the prison. And then there's a home investigation involving a child going on over here, and they're actually connected. And you find that out at the end. And I'm not saying how or why, but uh, I had to split the party, A, to make them manageable because they were being unruly, and B, for other reasons. But it really ended up being I really should add this cafeteria thing, or let's describe the bedroom that they walk into, because I see it in my head, but I didn't describe it.
Right.
And I'm bad at that. I see the characters in my head. I see what's going on in my head, and I'm writing it down so fast. And I go back and it's like, but I see it in my head, but nobody else is going to know what's going on.
Right. Yeah.
So I do a lot of that. And then book 3 was a very bad author book. So I added in, and even just for character development, a date scene, um, but there's about 10,000 new words in there. So,
Oh,
and
that's awesome.
I got about 50 pages in on book 4. I've realized a very big problem with my writing software. And
I saw that on your site today. Yeah, about
yeah.
formatting issue.
Yeah, well, I don't own Microsoft Word because Word is expensive.
Very.
Anything through Microsoft is expensive. So I use
Yeah.
OpenOffice. And the format, what I had found for writing software, because everybody goes on about having specific writing software, is I found Smart Edit Writer. And I really like it because you can break it off chapter, you can do scenes, you can move scenes around as you're writing if you decide you want it somewhere else. You don't copy paste, you just move that little folder right up or down, and it's great. And you have all these pages for notes, and you can put links for your research so that you have those notes, and then you just export the whole file. Except that doesn't work if you don't have Word, because then you can't open the file. Now, I had been writing book 4 in OpenOffice when I found Smart Writer. So I have about half the book in my Word file and or in my OpenOffice file.
Right.
I exported the book and I'm like, okay, why isn't it opening? OpenOffice opens everything. Why isn't this opening?
Right.
It won't. So now I'm going to have to copy and paste every scene from the midway point of the book back to the end.
I know formatting issues, so I'm so sorry.
Yeah. No, and it's not lost. At least it's not lost.
Yes, that
Because
is important. The most important thing.
that happened to me the first time in writing book 3. I was about 45,000 words in on book 3, and I lost my backup and the whole thing, my computer died.
Oh no.
Yeah, so now I've got, like, it's on my desk PC, it's on my laptop, and it's on a thumb drive. It doesn't happen anymore. I'm like, it's in 3 different places. I'm good. But yeah, so I am very glad I'm ahead of schedule with my dropping off at 4 Horsemen, because this is going to take me a little extra time than I hadn't
Right.
anticipated. So
so you get an audiobook with this deal too, right?
I do. Yes.
So that's awesome.
I
So,
cannot wait. I am.
do you get to go to Dragon Con? Are they sending you to Dragon Con next year?
Fingers crossed.
I saw the only reason why I asked is because I was looking when I was going through. I started following them
Yeah.
on because of you. I started following them on Instagram, and I'm like, oh, they sent authors to Dragon Con. How cool is that?
Yeah.
So I have my fingers crossed for you that you get to go to Atlanta next year. Have you ever been up there for that?
Actually, yes. I actually lived up there for a while. And I've been to Dragon Con. I actually worked Dragon Con as security one year. I think it was 94. So, back in the dirt age.
I don't know if Mark was doing it then. Wouldn't that be weird? But it's been that way. You and I were
Yeah.
in passing for years and years and didn't even know it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there are quite a few people that we've kind of circled around each other. Like my best friend Katie, she and I had to have seen each other multiple times and just kind of passed 100,000 times. Same with you and me.
Yep.
100,000 times, many different places.
Probably
And
the same autograph lines at
yeah,
MegaCon,
yeah,
and not know it.
yeah,
Not know
exactly.
that there's like this wonderful person over here that I'm gonna meet in a few years. It's gonna be like we're gonna have great stories. Or like we were there together, but not
Yeah.
together.
Yeah. So, but now we get to do it together, which is great. And I love the fact that you and I get to have tables together at the conventions and stuff like that.
So how's that going to work? Are you going to be able to get your own author copies when your new deal starts?
Yep. Yeah, I can get author copies. I just order them through them instead of Amazon.
So I wanted to take a minute to talk about self-publishing and
Yes.
talk to you about what you what you've learned, how it's been for you, and now that you got yourself this great deal. I mean, let's talk a little bit about self-publishing.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on, I think we're both glad we've done it,
Yes.
but
Absolutely.
it has some caveats. So why don't you tell me your experience with self-publishing?
My experience with self-publishing is it's great to be in control of it all, but at the
Yeah.
same time, that is a double-edged sword. It takes a lot more money than you think it's going to, especially if you want to start running Amazon ads and Google ads and Facebook ads, which is really what you have to do. And that's where my weakness is marketing. I'm
Did it
not,
work for you? Did it work for you though? Did you ever see any real results from doing all that marketing?
no, I
Me
really
neither.
didn't.
Me neither. Me neither. I felt like I was just flushing money down the
Yeah,
drain.
yeah, and people would swear that it worked for them, and I'm like, how?
Yeah,
What?
I've hired different companies, to run my book
Yeah,
ads, on Twitter and whatnot. And I'll tell you, I don't think I ever got a single sale. I mean, I'd be surprised if I maybe one, maybe. It's
maybe.
amazing. People think that when you're self-published or you're published on Amazon and you don't have, they think you've made it and that like you're raking in the dough. And that's just like not the case at all.
No, no, it really isn't. And for every person that makes 50,000 a year on self-publishing, there's thousands, hundreds, thousands of us that are out there with multiple books to our names that I see more from the small local conventions and sales than I do online.
Yes, absolutely. I 100% agree with you. I have sold more at shows
Yeah,
than I have at probably all my online sales combined.
yeah, I absolutely agree. So
Well, why
I
do you
think,
think that is? Do you think it's because it's oversaturated and our work just can't make it to, known? I mean, I'll tell you, I'm trying tons of stuff, including this
mhm,
new YouTube channel, which I'm
yeah,
hoping will take off because what I want to do is I want to support independent small press authors like
yeah,
yourself, like me, and try to get our name out there, because
oh yeah,
at least with the channel so far, I have, I mean, the views aren't super. I mean, I'm not in the thousands, but I'm not in. I mean, I'm like, I got 50 views on my video. I'm like, oh, that's pretty good,
yeah,
because I don't think 50 people that I know watched it. So, I mean, there's other people out there, and maybe the right all it takes is, a right person, a right, guy, just streaming through and saying, hey, maybe this will be, like a, good thing to do a story on or whatnot. And, you might get an interview. You might, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
I mean, I think there's like a lot of opportunity to get your name out there, and with YouTube, it's worldwide. So you never
it
know
is.
who's watching, and that's, so that's why I started this whole thing. And I'm hoping that, it'll be, I'll have more people on besides, you. I wanted you to be my first interview.
Thank
And
you.
because I'm just, I've known you for a few years. You keep just putting out the books, and now you've gotten yourself in a position where you're actually going to be traditionally published, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So, but what kind of advice would you give to people starting out in self-publishing?
The first piece of advice is finish the book, because everybody wants to start thinking about setting up a pre-order, and I've seen this on groups, and I'm in various author groups and writing groups across Facebook and other places, and it's oh, what do I need to pre-sell? What do I need to get a cover? What do I do for this, that, and the other? And you don't even have the product yet. You haven't finished the book.
Okay.
Finish the book, and then you're not done. Go back, reread it, edit it, just remember the descriptions. That's my own thing, but finish it. Get your butt in the chair, get a discipline, make a habit, however you want to word that, and get your butt in the chair. If it's 200 words a day. That's 200 more than you had yesterday.
That's true.
If you get inspiration and do 2,500, great, wonderful, but keep at it and finish the book. If you want to be a writer, that is the biggest thing. And that is the biggest thing I had to do. Because I have many a project that I have started that I just kind of went, okay, bored now, and it's great to have these wonderful dreams because I've always dreamed of being the published author. And, I gave up on myself so many times. And it's don't do it. Finish it. Even if you think it is a steaming pile of cow manure, finish it, because you're getting in that practice. You're getting in that discipline. And you may be able to take pieces of that finished cow manure and put it somewhere else. And maybe that wall it'll stick to. So not everything is going to be awful about what you do in those projects, but finish them, because you will feel more accomplished, even if it goes nowhere. You will feel more accomplished for having finished it. And that actually gives you more oomph to go to your next project. And maybe you learned a couple things from the other one that you wouldn't have learned before. So that's the biggest thing I would say to any aspiring author. And that's what I tell people when they ask me, when I do panels at Spooky or any other convention. If I'm on the writing panel, that's usually the first thing I say is finish the damn book. So,
and you're going to be at Spooky this year.
I am going to be at Spooky this year. Yes.
So tell me about the writer's track and how you are able to get to go to Spooky this year.
I am going to Spooky Empire with, they have an author's track that they do in the fall show. They don't do it in the spring show. And that is, we are given free admission. We have panels. We have to participate in at least 3. I think I chose 4 or 5 this year because I just have fun with them. But it's a 3-day show this year, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, October 21st through the 23rd. And if you go down to where the author's track is, and they're actually at the Orange County Convention Center this year, so Spooky grew a little bit because it used to be at the Caribe Royale. And wherever they have the author's track set up, there will be a huge long table, and it will be everybody's books, everybody that's participating in the author's track. And they will usually have one room set up because we've got some filmmakers. It's creators, the creators track, I think they're calling it now. Okay. And we do panels, and it may be the nuts and bolts of writing, or choose your own adventure, which is one I'm going to be on. That is so much fun. Sick and Twisted, please delete my search history, things like that. Or comedy and horror, or horror in other aspects, like comics and film, things like that. So it's a lot of fun. We get in on the, we've got something to sell, and we have expertise we can talk about. So we do these panels, and most of them, pretty much all of them, are a blast. So, we're having fun up there. We're playing. So if you're in attendance, there's going to be
I'll be there this year. So I'm hoping to be able to squeeze myself in on a couple of your panels. So
I'm definitely doing the Choose Your Own Adventure, because I have done that the last 2 times I was there. And I have a panel buddy, Rob Rahman. And last year, or not last year, but the last time I went before the plague hit, I almost got him to sing. That is my goal this year. I am sitting next to him, and I am going to make that man sing.
Well, if I can get there, I'm definitely going to go into that one for sure. You and I did something similar, but
Yeah.
at a convention. That was fun. I
Yeah.
enjoyed that.
That was the that's where I stole it from, and I proposed it to Michelle to do at the con. So I was like, this is a ton of fun. It's spooky. We should do this. So yeah, it's the same thing where you just you start telling a story and then you throw it out. You give the audience a couple different choices, and then the next author down the table has to take it from there.
That's pretty cool.
It was, I had so much fun doing it with you, and it's so much fun at Spooky because there's usually like 5 to 7 of us at the table.
Yeah, so it gets really wild, I bet.
Oh yeah, and we go
You
for like
need
an
to have
hour.
that audience participation though to make it like click, right?
Yeah. So and it's just we have the best time at Spooky. I want you to see that side of it, because the author's track is, you may not get the best sales there because, at least from what I've seen at Carib when it was there, you kind of get hidden in a corner. But
it'll probably be different this year with the being in the big, you're going to be
yeah,
in a huge.
I'm hoping that's the case. I'm hoping we have a bigger area, or at least a better attended area. But even so, we have so much fun. So
Well, I'm
down
looking
there being
forward
crazy.
I'm looking forward to Spooky, and I hope I can run into you there. You think, well, 3 days, you got a lot of time, but it just flies. Those
Oh, it
conventions
does.
just fly.
It does. It does. It goes so fast.
So I wanted to talk to you about your genre real quick. You call it urban fantasy or horror. What do you?
I kind of go, it's kind of a melding of paranormal horror and urban fantasy, because I do get descriptive with some of the kills and some of the tenseness of the monsters and things like that. It's urban fantasy because urban fantasy basically says that anything supernatural, paranormal, magical is real. So that's your vampires, your witches, your werewolves, and ghosts. So it qualifies as urban fantasy for that. And of course, paranormal because ghosts. So.
And you've been writing stories like this since you were 11?
Yes.
And has it always been this genre that you,
No,
I mean, is that what you've.
no, I started with high fantasy.
Okay.
And I do have something percolating that is going back to a high fantasy area, but that isn't going to work with the whole ghost thing. So that's going to be its own thing. And right now I'm very focused on the paranormal stories. Right. So that series is what I'm going to do. And then maybe when I get further into it than I need to be, and when I'm way ahead of my deadlines, I'll start actually concocting the high fantasy thing. And when I get it where I want it, I'll probably pitch it to Four Horsemen and have that as a series as well.
That sounds really cool. Okay, so you said you knew you want to be an author since you were 11. Was it a story that you wrote, or did you have a mentor? What made you know that that's what you wanted to do?
I was always a very sick kid, and I do mean that health-wise. I was in and out of wheelchairs since I was 3. I have an immune system that's like wet tissue paper. I get sick at the drop of a hat. And when you're an only child, that there's not much to do when you're sick. You know
what? I never knew you were an only child also.
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah, I'm an only child and not much extended family that we ever kept in touch with. So, I didn't really have a chance to have friends over often. And, a lot of times we lived in apartments in DC or something like that. So not a lot of kids around. So I entertained myself. And a lot of that it started with daydreaming about stories that I would see on TV that I wanted to insert myself into. I wanted to be in that world. Like, I don't even know if you'll remember this, but the Tomorrow People back in the 70s.
Yeah.
I loved that show as a kid. And I wanted to be one of them. And of course, that's, they're telekinetic, they, teleport here and there, and they're telepathic. And they did reboot it probably a
Yeah, it
decade
was on
ago.
the CW for I think
Yeah.
a season a couple
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I liked the reboot, but it just didn't hold the same place in my heart, But going back and watching them, I'm just kind of like, oh, wow. Okay. Um, very, very 70s, you can tell. But that's how it started, was just using my imagination because I was sick and I was bored and, I didn't have any other interactions. And then it grew into writing stories down and making up things that I wanted to see, stories that I wanted to read. And I loved going to the bookstore and getting new books and trying things out. And my dad raised me from the time I was 5 to love horror because he wanted a horror buddy. He loved scary movies. And so when I was 5, he sat me down and showed me The Howling. That was literally what I cut my teeth on because I lost a tooth at the end of the film.
That is a pretty. I mean, I saw it when I was young, also probably about it when I was 9. To see it at 5, I think I would have been even more freaked out. It's a great film, but it's got some really tough topics in it.
It does. It does. Of course, when you're 5, half of those topics fly
It's over your head. Yeah.
But, scary werewolves are cool, So, and I loved it.
Film, man.
And I really never was affected by horror as scared of the dark or scared of the monster under my bed or anything like that. The only thing that ever got me was Poltergeist, the clown, because my grandmother would hand make me clown dolls to collect.
Oh, God.
And let me tell you, that stopped real quick after that movie.
That is like one of the most frightening scenes in cinematic history, man. That is something else. But that's the movie that got you then.
That's one of the 2 scenes that ever got me. Like the other one was, it was an older movie, but I caught it on TV. And I think I was 16 at the time. And I actually had the lights on that night because it creeped me out. But I have a fear of bugs, and it was Prince of Darkness.
Oh,
and yeah, that scene where the guy turns into, he's just got bugs crawling all over him, and so yeah, that freaked me out. Those were the only 2.
That sort of reminds me of like the Creep Show. You remember? Did you ever see Creep Show?
Oh yeah.
There's I used when I was a kid. I would watch all of Creep Show except for that segment with the roaches, because that's grossed me out more than anything else.
Yeah.
So yes, wow. So, so did you show your dad your writing? Did he encourage? Was he a big encouragement to you?
I never really showed him my writing. That was more of a personal thing. And unfortunately, by the time I did self-publish, he had passed. So, but he knew I was working on a ghost story. And, my mom was all, he'd be so proud of you and stuff like that. So, and my mom was too. So.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, that you lost your mother. Just was like 2 years ago.
A year and a half.
Year and a half.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the plague got her. So, but.
Yeah, very, very, very heartbreaking. I lost my dad before I self-published also. So, and my dad was he encouraged me a lot on stuff. A lot of times he would take over my projects. I used to, I was like this amateur filmmaker, and I would write scripts and plays and all this crazy stuff. And he was very encouraging, but he'd also self-insert a little bit too much when he was alive. But I'd like to think he's proud of the product, and the
I'm
final
sure.
project. And So, but your mom, at least she got to see, that you were a published author. I'm sure, you know, they'd both be very proud of you,
Thank you.
for with this deal and everything else. It's just incredible.
Thank you.
So next for you is Spooky. Is that what's coming up next?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
October 21st through the 23rd, I'll be there. I got a bunch of author copies in to take before I unpublished everything from Amazon, because I had to unpublish from Amazon in order to turn it over to Four Horsemen. So I ordered those copies in. I have copies for Spooky. That is going to be the only place you can get them between now and January 29th, when the first book comes back out.
Yeah, so
So
people need to run, because you have to have an original. I've got the original.
yeah, for submission.
The first edition, and many more to come. So you're going to do 10 books now for this new series then?
Yep. And I'm already almost 5 in, so it's going to be interesting to see how all of this pans out. But I definitely have an overarching plot throughout the whole thing, so it's going to continue. So there's definitely a lot in store for all of those characters. I feel a little bad.
And you work full time. So
Yes,
when
I
do you
do.
find the time? You're a mom. You've got the full time job.
Yep.
When do you find the time to write?
I kind of carve out a couple hours here, a couple hours there in the evening sometimes. A couple nights a week I try. I try every day, but that doesn't always happen. But I've got a couple days set aside where I set aside those evenings, and my husband is like, great, go, 'cause he's always encouraged me. He's never let me give up on myself. And he has always pushed me to keep going, go further. He's been very, very supportive, more than I really could have hoped for. And he has no problem with me carving out the time to do these edits or write. If inspiration strikes me and I say, I'd really like to write today, he says, okay, yeah, go for it. And I close myself up in the room with my laptop and put on my writing music, and I go. Because
What kind of music do you listen to when you write?
there's a YouTube channel that I listen to, and it's Cryo Chamber, and they have a 24/7 live stream that they do, and it's Atrium Carceri, Donnie Draco, all kinds of dark, atmospheric, Lovecraftian, spooky stuff. But there's rarely any words. And so it's all just atmospheric background music, which makes it very easy for me. Because if I put on Shinedown, who's my favorite band, I'll just sing along. There will be no writing done. I'm just singing. So yeah, I use the cryo chamber, and if there's any words, it's usually something Lovecraftian that, they'll like speed up or slow down to make it creepier, and it goes on for maybe 30 seconds, and then they're off into something else. So
do you ever have like a song in your head for like a certain scene, or because that when I write, sometimes there'll be a song and I'll like loop that song probably 2 hours while I'm writing a scene. Seriously.
Oh, I believe it. I could probably do that actually with some songs.
And it's not necessarily the lyrics, but the beat.
Yeah, or the atmosphere in your head that it creates.
Yes.
Yeah. I could definitely see doing that with a few things. But again, if there's words,
really can't do it.
I can't, because I will either just start singing or the words will end up on the screen. So, and I'll be like, oh man.
Do you do a lot of reading now, or do you not have time to read, or do you try to mix in the both? Because I mean, I try to read and I've started listening more to audiobooks, and I seem to get through the audiobooks because I'm driving to work. I got a 40-minute commute. But reading for me, finding that niche of time, I'm always doing something else, But are you reading anything currently?
I read on my lunch break at work. It's only half an hour, if that, because we're very busy during the day, of course. But I currently am reading Blood of Elves, which is one of the Witcher books.
Okay.
I'm reading that, and then if I read at home, I'm reading Jim Butcher, The Dresden Files. I am sadly a couple of books behind. I'm reading Peace Talks right now. So,
and you like reading series also then?
I do. Yes, I fell in love with Dresden when the kids were babies. I mean, I've been reading that series for a very long time, and The Witcher I got into because of the show. I'd actually never played the game. I hadn't heard of it, and my husband was so excited because he'd played the game. And I'm like, okay. And I got into the show, and I'm like, okay, I need this now. So we went and we got those books. So I read the short story compilation, which is Last Wish, and now I'm on Blood of Elves, and I'm getting through a few pages at a time during lunch. So
yeah, it's just in this busy life of go, 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 it's really hard to make the time to write, to try to have a life outside of work, and and all that. So, I want to applaud you for being able to, you started in 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20, 20, 6 years, you've got 4 published books.
4 published books.
You're working on 5.
Yeah.
You've done tons of shows.
Yeah.
You've had yourself out there. You've even written like short stories for other collections too, haven't you?
I did, yes. Cabin Fever has a short story which is actually connected to the Life After series.
Oh, that's so cool. So you made it all in the same kind of universe then.
Yes, that's one of my big things is even if I go off and do stories that are involving something else, I want it to be one world. I want it to be something where you could totally have cadence in the background, unseen by the characters, doing something, making sure none of the ghosts screw something up. Or, somebody, maybe Aiden makes an appearance or, walks into the bar, because he needed to duck. That sucker's tall. But, it just, I like it to be one world, and I like it to have those, you could see these characters popping up in all these other different stories, because those kinds of Easter eggs, like BMCU or something like that, those are fun. It's fun to have the things interconnected. So, the high fantasy story obviously isn't going to be able to be that, but I want whatever I do to eventually have the same connective tissue to the Life After series. So we'll go from there. And I'm working on, there were a couple of different ideas I had for standalone stories that I'm now weaving into the Life After series. So it should be easy to make those connective tissues from there and say, okay, we're branching out that way with that one, that way with that one. And then we've got the little pocket over here. So.
Well, I can't wait to see where you go with this series and beyond.
Thank you.
I once again, I want to say congratulations to you. And where can people find you on social media?
I have a website, authoramandafasciano.com. I am on Facebook. I am on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, not often, but some there. And you can also find me on YouTube occasionally under Tabletop Misfits. That is our gaming group that we do, and we do all kinds of unboxings, reviews, how to plays, table times, just sharing the love of board games.
Yes,
you've been to my house.
I follow this, so I follow the channel. So I encourage everybody who's a gamer who loves games to go check that out for sure.
Yeah,
Tabletop Misfits, right?
Yeah, and I mean, you've been to my house, you've seen the game collection. We have
Yeah, you have your own like library of games. You could
we
open
do.
up your own store if you want
Yeah,
to.
yeah, it's kind of crazy, but we have so many good friends in the game development industry now since we've been doing this, and we started this before COVID. And I kept the Twitter going, and I kept the Instagram going even through COVID. Every time we played a game, I was taking pictures and, hey, this is what the Tabletop Misfits are playing. And then we finally got the YouTube channel going. And so my husband and Tom are going out. They got back from Gen Con a month ago, which is one of the biggest I think it's probably the biggest board game convention in the United States.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the top 5 in the world.
I think it's one of the biggest conventions in the United States too.
I think you're right. I think Gen Con and Dragon Con and San Diego Comic-Con are the 3 big ones. But they had an entire football field devoted to just sitting down at tables and playing games.
That's incredible.
It was crazy. I was watching the videos come back. I'm like, holy cow, I'm so glad I'm not there. My social anxiety be off the roof.
Well, I am hoping that the channel takes off for all of you Tabletop Misfits, and your writing.
Thank you.
And so everybody can expect to see the brand new and improved book. Waking Up Dead comes out
January 29th, 2023.
Through Four Horsemen Publishing.
Yes, through Four Horsemen Publishing.
And you can follow them online too. I know they're on Instagram because that's where I'm following them at. Are they on Facebook too?
They're on Facebook. They're on Twitter. Yep.
Because I'm like waiting for the day when they have you on there and your book comes out. So
that's actually coming.
I'm getting ready. So.
That's actually coming. They do a podcast, and I think it may be on YouTube. Drinking with Authors.
Yes, I've heard some of that. When are you going to be on there?
January 18th is when we're recording.
Awesome. So some more stuff to look forward to.
Yep.
Amanda, you're my buddy.
Yep.
and I can't wait. I'm looking forward to coming back over to your house to play again because I had so much fun over there last time.
Yeah, I'm glad.
So, that's the coolest thing is that, I got your book like way before I actually met you. And then I was like, oh my gosh, it's you. And then we became friends, which is just like the best thing. So I appreciate you. And I appreciate you taking part of your Sunday to come on here and talk to me and do this first interview for the YouTube channel. So
I'm honored that you asked me to be the first one here. I really appreciate it. And I know it's a drive for you to come out here, but I love it when you do because, we have so much fun together. And I love seeing you. I love being together at the conventions and everything. So,
and that's probably the next time I'm going to get to see you is at Spooky. I'm going to make every effort to come over, even if I can just say hi.
Yeah.
I got to run this Twin Peaks stuff going on.
Yeah, no, I know that. That's going to be a big one.
When I found that out, I was just like, I'm the hugest Twin Peaks fan,
Yeah.
At least in my household. So.
I loved that when it was on. I absolutely loved that show. I haven't caught up with the where they brought it back. I haven't seen the new stuff.
Oh, very different. Very. I still don't. I saw it a couple of years ago, and I still haven't comprehended that yet.
Okay. Well, a lot of people say that about the old one too.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I guess it's very, very different though. But I was just sometimes I was like, what did I just watch?
Yeah.
But, I think that Spooky's been wanting to do this Twin Peaks show for a couple of years, and because of everything that was going on, so I'm glad they're finally able to have those guests that they wanted to, and I'm really looking forward to seeing it and to seeing you. And you and I are going to meet up again soon. I can't wait to come back over to your place and hang out.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much. Do you have any parting words you want to tell the audience?
To buy Warped Influences on paperback and audiobook. Since you have your new audiobook out, you've been so kind spending all of this time talking about my stuff. Your
Well,
new audiobook came out just a week or two ago, right?
it's been out a month on
Oh, is it?
Audible.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay because it came out on Audible, and I took the I didn't do an exclusive with them because the exclusive, I think you have 7 years exclusive. So I did the non-exclusive, which means I get less money, but then I went to Find Away Voices and I signed up with them. And what they do is they take the book and they put it like out everywhere. And so right now it's starting, I've got like 7 platforms or so that it's on now.
Nice.
Here's what I found out by total accident today. I saw it was on Nook. Nook has it, which is the Barnes and Noble outlet.
Yeah.
So I went to the website, and you can buy my paperback there too. So I'm like, here I am on Barnes and Noble, and I didn't even know it.
Now you got to go to the stores and see if it's actually on the shelves. That'd be awesome.
Well, we'll see what happens, but what I think is that this is going to be like I'm trying to turn over a new leaf on this whole thing now that the plague's over. I'm rebooting myself. You've rebooted yourself in the best way possible.
Thank you.
So all the best to you.
All the best right back at you.
Talking to you soon.
Absolutely.
And so this has been me, author R.M. Rose, with author Amanda Fasciano, and this has been Rose's Author Chat. Thanks so much. Bye, everybody.
Bye.